You are now listening to Carlie's Couch.
I'm Carlie.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy.
This week on Carlie's Couch, we're talking red flags. Are they really there, or is it really your trauma?
What an intro.
And it probably ain't. So, let's get into it today, guys. My name is Alexia, the God, Lextopia. Beside me, Carlie Carpio.
CC the realist.
Wow. Anyway, how you doing?
Man, I feel energetic today. How you doing?
I'm good. So I'm hopeful. Yes, I am hopeful for today. Because I see that was in my head because I was going to say, yeah, I fell asleep on the sofa last night. I woke up like, contacts all crusty.
Worse.
And then I've been with sleep all day today waiting for Carlie to come over here because I'm exhausted. But in a great way. I worked so hard this week. But it's been fun and not to get all extra deep at the beginning because this is not what the episode is about. But all the, I don't know, like so quickly, anything that's kind of like, not a big issue or struggle, but, you know, like, oh, it's a lot of work going on, a lot of projects or, you know, something trying to figure out or whatever. All of those things are, like, not negative. I don't know. Like, they've all been, like, just so positive things. Like, not even immediately, but, like, very quickly is the gap closed to feeling some kind of way and being like, oh, but this. And, like, that's what I need to do, or this is what I need to understand right here, or I see what you did there type vibe. So it's been cool to, like, move through everything in a, I guess, progressive kind of evolving type way.
And that's cool to be able to see the growth, like, firsthand. Like,
Yeah, when you know you, like, made a different decision or that you're being conscious of a thing when it's happening instead of it being, like, another year of doing the same stuff or having to go through the same things over and over. So that has been really cool. I'm tired, but it is great, so.
I love that. I think that's a good lead into the episode, too. Getting out of those patterns.
Yeah, because we're talking about red flags today, and what red flags are patterns. So the definition is that there are patterns of behavior or traits that indicate a potential for harm, misalignment, or emotional danger. And the one thing I liked about reading that definition is even just the misalignment. Like, a red flag doesn't mean that necessarily this person's some terrible person or, oh my God, you're a narcissist or you're going to manipulate me. It might just be we're misaligned, and that's fine. So also keep that in mind as we talk about it. It's just that these are behaviors that are not for you. And so that being said, it might be more of a sliding scale of like, what's a red flag to everybody, or, you know, how you categorize that? Yeah,
because I think when people like hear red flags, it's like, oh, they're a like narcissist, they're a psychopath, they're an abuser, they're this, they're that, and it's really not. Like, could be they're not ready for a relationship. It could just be. I love the word misalignment because a lot of times people are great people, they're just not your person, and that's fine too.
Yeah, and it's such a struggle to try to force something into alignment in that way. It's almost like harder on you, or like more draining on you when it's just those simple things. Like, it's not like they're bad, because now it makes it hard to be like, they're not a bad person. And so you kind of makes you even more invested, but it's not right and it's still tough. So pay attention even to that.
Yeah, because red flags aren't like, it's not a red flag because someone's not your preference or because they're not perfect. Like, those are not red flags. And I think in society, people grab onto these words and then start throwing them out like everything. Like, oh, that's a red flag. It's not a red flag. They just different, and that's okay.
Yeah, they're warning signs, and it's just something that you would see that makes you pay a little more attention, right? Because also one instance of something may not necessarily mean all of these other assumptions that may come to your mind. And of course, we pay attention, right? We pay attention to what people are doing and what they start to do consistently, regularly, etc. But it's not necessarily just like, oh, I got uncomfortable, or, you know, a reflection. Well, it could be a reflection of your insecurity, but it's not necessarily just like how you feel, because I feel some kind of way. That means that that's a red flag.
And keep that in mind as we are talking about red flags, and notice like what you thought of when we first said we're talking about red flags today. And maybe we can help you recognize what's really a red flag versus what is a red flag from yourself.
And part of what the red flags can stem from, and that last thing that we were saying about what they're not, is like you listening to your intuition. But sometimes, and I think we've talked about this one time, where it's like, how do you know if it's really your intuition, or if your intuition's right, or if it's really fear? Can you talk a little bit, Carlie, about like what the differences are between those two?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the quotes I heard a long time ago is, intuition is a whisper and fear is like a panic yell. And so when you think about in your body, it's like, intuition for me is you inherently feel something, you know something resonates as true within you. And there might not be a precursor, like you didn't think about it, whatever, it just kind of popped up in the moment, versus fear feels kind of urgent. Like you have to make a decision right now, you have to change something, and learning what that can look and feel like in your body. So like inner wisdom is intuition, like something just feels right or just feels off to you or doesn't connect. Whereas fear could be pushing you to make a decision, like I have to do this right now, or I have to like, it's more like anxiety.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the bigger differences to me is just like how it can feel for you. So intuition is more calming and grounding, but that fear is like when you're worried, like, oh, well, he might do this or this might happen. And that's a little bit different from, you just kind of getting a feeling of something or seeing something and being like, okay.
And I think a big difference, and I saw it today on a definition, is that your intuition is less emotionally charged, whereas your fear is super emotionally charged. And so noticing in different situations, like what you're feeling, and if it feels very like, meh, 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 like that's probably a sign that there's some fear going on.
Yeah, but I will say too, for a lot of people, it could seem interchangeable, or if you are not as tapped in with yourself, or if you're not a person who thinks in that way. I know some people who they're super like feeling and intuitive and all that. Like, and when you know that, like I'll respect it. Like, it's your choice though. How does it feel to you? And they really can be like, it's just something doesn't feel right about this, or yeah, I'm really into this, and it's like, cool, I'm gonna go with that. And then I feel that there are other people who just like, you can tell how they act. It's like the air quote intuition is like it's just like a fear thing. It's kind of frantic.
And I think that comes from trauma, right? Like things happen in life, and that one time, someone did something that seemed shifty, and it really was, and it really got you hurt. So now anytime somebody does anything that resembles that, all of a sudden now your intuition is telling you, but it's not really intuition. That's trauma, that's fear, that's hurt, that's pain. And those aren't necessarily the same thing.
So to go back to red flags, have you ever had an experience where looking back, it's like, I saw some things I didn't really love, but like maybe I walked away from that too quickly. Like maybe from a fear or just like, that's not it. I don't like that. And you kind of left it there thinking something was a red flag.
No, I'm more so the opposite. Like when I think about people who I walked away from early because I saw a red flag, I was right because my intuition. But then I might have stayed too long past some other stuff, giving people too many chances. But never, I don't think I've ever skirted on somebody too early.
So, but with the staying too long, it's like, were you ignoring like a very clear red flag?
Oh, for sure. Or my own trauma caused me to stay, or I was trying to get chose. Like there's a lot of things that I have healed from, but that have definitely kept me in situations or situationships, I should say, too long. What about you?
When I think about if I've left anything too fast, these were not like red flags, but I do feel like there's certain things that are kind of like icky that you might, when they talk on social media about the ick. Like this guy's like polo collar. It was just so like baconed up. I couldn't. And the same guy, I remember, and this is a long time ago, by the way, like, and it's so funny too, because all of the stories from like, how old was I in this time? This is when I lived in DC. So literally like 2010 to 12, which is what, 15 years ago now. So like, this is during like 15 years ago type time, but it's funny thinking about certain time periods where it's like, man, my experiences were really weird then, and what was that about? Anyway, I remember different folks, but this is the same bacon collar guy, and I was talking about like, yeah, I'm thinking about moving to LA, and just casually, like a casual kind of first date type thing, and then he said something about to the illusion of like, okay, like, so where am I gonna go? And I was like, the fuck. Huh? What you talking about? Go where?
How did we get here?
Like, first of all, your collar's fucked up. So, like, I don't want to see you again. But, like, it was just when sometimes people say stuff and you're just like, what? what are you talking about?
Bro.
Before I moved to LA, this guy was like stalking me. And that was interesting because I had avoided him trying to ask me to meet up a lot of times. And when I finally was like, okay, we can go to lunch, it was kind of framed on like work type stuff. And then immediately at lunch, I was like, and I was like, you know what? That's my fault. And, but immediately, right, it was like, I'm good. And then he was texting me after. I was like, please don't text me anymore. Like, I'm good. Now, this is not what I was coming here for. And then that spiraled to something crazy. And you never know, right? It's not your fault with things like that. But, like, I would say I just had a lot of experiences where I might have seen something. If it was super red flag like that made me uncomfortable, then I just, I did take steps to, like, nah, I'm good. And then as you have more experiences like that, you practice more of, like, I'm not about to waste any time or, like, give you any, like, runway to feel like something happened or anything. Because then, I noticed, and it's so unfortunate, that over that time period where this guy was, like, being really weird, the first thing when I would talk to people, they'd be like, man, what'd you do to him? Da, da, da. And I'm like, I did not do a single thing. Like,
that.
Please believe I did not do
that.
a single thing. And so it's like, yeah, you got to protect yourself. Because also there's like different dangers and stuff too. But
I was like, people are crazy. Like, and so I think that's a big thing of intuition and noticing. Like, I've definitely went on a quote unquote a business meeting that was actually a date that they wanted to be a date that I was not aware was a date. But then he was also mad creepy. And, like, just the way he was moving and the way he was talking, I was like, oh, I got to get the fuck up out of here. But, like, he had offered to pick me up from my house. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, you might even need to know where I live. Like, that's insane. But I didn't even want him to walk me to my car. I walked the opposite direction. You have to stay safe. And that's insane. But outside of times where you didn't feel safe, are there any other red flags that immediately, besides bacon collar, where you were like, psh, nope, done?
Probably. It's just, and thinking back on it too, it could be a reflection of when I've been this person also. But there's a thing where, like, you can smell, like, when somebody needs you. You can smell when, like, they're just doing kind of anything to, like, get you to like them. Like, those things, like, I got to try to remember that for myself, because a lot of times, like, women will do kind of those same types of things where it's like you're going all above and beyond and doing the most. And I think it's just, you can kind of smell when there's, like, something there that's not quite clicking, when a person is not, like, for themselves. Maybe obviously things about, like, the types of stuff they're into or hanging out with, or, oh man, for me also, there have been times where, like, you go to a person's house and when you really see how somebody live, it's like, oh no. like it, you could talk to somebody, they be funny and cool and stuff. And then you're like,
bro,
nah, it's a little too in the trenches for me, or, like, just whatever, right? Some certain weird stuff. But also, like you said too, don't let a person be, like, extra funny and fun and adventurous. Then I might be along the ride for the red flag. So, like, the people I would say, like, where you saw red flags and you kind of kept going, is because typically for me, I would say at least, there was a lot of inner confusion around how cool and awesome and fun they were or they are. And it's like, so. Or it could be manipulative, where it's like something's your fault. I've dealt with that before. So there's definitely some red flags that I've seen, and then later I'm like, oh, that was super red flag, huh? But at the time, it just feels like a challenge.
Yeah, or if you're already into somebody, like, y'all have great chemistry, y'all talking on the phone is great. You can have great conversation. You go to dinner, great conversation. They're attractive. They're this. Like, you're a lot more likely to let things slide. But I think that's when it's most important to make sure that you're staying true to yourself, because you start to let a lot of shit slide and then be mad at yourself later for not recognizing what are some actual red flags. After you're in a relationship, I think it's a lot harder, because then you get into a whole making excuses and lying to yourself and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, really, people are kind of similar in that way. Really, it's like, if you like a person, then things are different. But if you, like, if you just already not quite, like, there, then ain't nothing really that you doing that's gonna be enough for that. So speaking of red flags, let's play a game. We're gonna talk about some common, like, random red flags you might hear about, and I'm gonna ask Well, I'll say it, and then you tell me if you say this is a red flag or a projection, and then I don't know if you want me to say it right then too, if we have anything different, or if we talk about it after. But okay, and also it doesn't. I'm not gonna give you any context, so just whatever you feel.
Okay.
They don't post you on social media.
Not a red flag. Only other context is I think it would be if they.
So you think it's projection?
Yeah, I think it's a projection. What about you?
Red flag.
Okay.
Poor communication.
Oh, we're not. Oh,
I'm gonna go through them.
Okay. Poor communication, red flag.
Yeah, red flag. Says they're not ready for a relationship.
That's just a sign that you should leave. Like, yeah. So I don't know.
So
red flag, I guess.
You ain't answering red flag or projection.
Red flag.
None of
My bad. Red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
If you want to be in one, I guess. But yeah, let's get into it. Still close with an ex.
Could be a red flag. I would say projection because the thing is could be. What about you?
Red flag.
Ooh.
And that's for me. I'll be doing that. Super fast intimacy.
Red flag.
Projection. Love bombing.
Red flag for sure.
Yeah, red flag. Oh, girl, that's a big word. They don't have a good relationship with their family or no relationship
Projection.
or tenuous. Yeah, projection.
For sure.
Jealousy.
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag. They treat other people poorly, like
Red
servers
flag.
and stuff.
Red flag.
That's a red flag.
Red flag down.
They want to spend all their time with you.
Red flag.
Dang, I'll be wanting to do that
Red
too.
flag.
Red flag. All right, red flag, red flag, red flag. Okay, so listeners, now let's talk about these a little bit. So we're a little different on them, but I have a feeling that we were different because without any context, it's like, well, what are you basing it off of, and what are you basing it off of? Because quite frankly, all of these could be red flags, but they also could, with different context or interpretation, don't always have to be red flags. So we're gonna like kind of maybe talk through them because I'm curious why we had some different answers. But in general, keep in mind and note that what this is like, okay, with these things, whether it's exactly a red flag or not, there's still an opportunity to pause and assess. So without you having to, for real, just be like, ooh, that's a red flag. He's a bad person or she's a bad person. You could be like, they're not posting me on social media. Okay, like, let me pause and assess.
Yeah.
You said red flag. I guess I said red flag first because I said that because I know too many people that they have secret lives and they do separate things and they are not respectful and on the other side because people tend to care and show things that they care about. So that's why I would say red flag on that.
I would say, what if they don't have social media? So like in general.
That's a red flag too. Yes, that's an absolute red flag.
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that. I don't know.
It doesn't have to be. No, obvious for me.
Yeah.
I also don't think it has to be because I don't know. Maybe this is I don't know, but most people I know who don't have social media are drug dealers. So
also, and I know some who do, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't, but I don't think it is. I would look at like patterns. So if they have typically shown everything and all of a sudden they're not showing you, you might be in one of them groups like,
Also,
whose man is this? Also, my tail.
Also, they do have social media. That's the problem, and I know a lot about this too. Like, yeah, they don't. I might not could tag them, but I know what it really is, and so I know that they have their own thing just so they can. And that also doesn't mean they're doing bad activity, but just because you don't have it don't mean you don't have it. It's just, I think it depends on what they say about that.
Fair.
And if you're having to go through like a rabbit hole trying to figure stuff out and all that, like there's places where you're at where it's like you shouldn't have to do all that, and I don't think you can, or you need to, but you should be able to talk to the person, not even like bring it up, but there's something that you should be like, oh, you don't have blah blah blah, and they can say what they say, but then I don't know, it's kind of a setup sometimes, I think.
Yeah,
or it can be. It can be.
I think for poor communication, we both said red flag.
Yeah.
I would opt to say it is not a red flag if they're willing to work on it. Like if they're trying and there's just like like y'all have different communication styles, and that's something that they're willing to talk through or work on.
Nah, I've been there, done that too much. Like that's a thing where maybe they're not evil, but it's a misalignment for sure. And the top thing for me is if you are not communicating, now I'm very quickly going to become a mom instead of a partner, and I have to have a level of like, can we be on the same page about, you know, planning a thing or doing things. You know how you see like where households where like one of the parents is like the one who knows all the schedule and doing all the things, because other person's like, I don't know how to organize, I don't know how to do laundry, I don't know how to plan the dinner date. And it's just annoying. Like even with my friends, like we talk about the guys so much. It's like guys, like they'll just throw something in the chat like, who wants to do this? And you be like, me, and you never hear nothing again. And it's like, tighten up. So no, like where I have to do extra work, take extra reins, figure out how to tell you to hey, where are you at? I haven't heard from you in a week. Fuck out of here. I don't need to do any of that. If I don't hear from you in X amount of time, then vaya con Dios.
I agree with all of what you said if you have to do extra work, but when I hear poor communication, I didn't think about that. So that part is related to experiences you've been in and have had, because for me it's like, if like, not that you're ghosting me, not that you're not talking to me, none of that shit, but it's like if we communicate differently about different things, or I have to tell you, like I don't want to have to keep telling you something, but if I tell you something and you work on it and you show like you're working on a thing, then yes, but that doesn't mean they're not poor communicators.
Well, we're talking about poor communication.
I understand, but I'm saying like it happens.
You're talking about not some like different communication style. Cool.
Well, but even like if I consider that poor, because if I feel like you're not communicating with me well, but then I tell you and you make an effort and do better, then that's fine. But if I have to tell you more than a couple times, I'm not going to tell you no more. Like it's done.
Yeah, I tend to see that things like that are habits and how people communicate that's their habits. So it's usually a downward type spiral for me. Saying you're not ready for a relationship, that's only a red flag if you are. I mean, if you say or express that you have a certain goal and their goal is the opposite of that, then either have a great time and hang out or do your thing, or, you know, not be serious about it, or you need to move on.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, at least they told you, but if they're still like trying to play house, but they don't want to be in a relationship, like don't be there. Leave.
Yeah,
listen
don't play
to
yourself.
them.
Sometimes you can have fun, but sometimes you ain't. So
because you be wanting more when they say they're not. I'm gonna change them. You're not. Just listen. Keep it moving.
Yeah. Being close with exes, that could be a red flag, just depending on how. That doesn't have to be. I've been in relationships where we were cool, like, but because our communication was good, then like we would know like who those people were, or if they're around or something, they knew who I was, you know, or whatever, or they knew who that person was. And then there's been times where like if I didn't really talk about it, but like maybe I would have conversation or whatever, and they were really disrespected and felt bad about that, because they're like, well, I didn't know, you should have told me, you know, what if I see them out? And I'm like, what if you see them out? Like, well, I don't get why it matters. And I did kind of realize I was wrong in a way of like, well, they should know. Like there shouldn't be anything that your person, if you're in a real relationship, like that they don't really know kind of like about what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. Super fast intimacy. Red flag? We said red flag or projection?
I mean, that requires two people. So if it's I forgot what I even said on that. Oh, I said not a red flag. You said red flag. I said projection, but that's one of them things where for me the red flag would be if I didn't want something and then they were kind of being weird about it or pushy or something like that. That's an obvious red flag for me. But it takes two, so I don't know. You can't blame somebody else for something and that you participated in. Yeah,
that's fair. Love bombing is an obvious red flag in general. I don't think that one needs any more conversation. But I think tenuous / no relationship with family. I see a lot of people say that they want their partner, their husband or wife, to have a really good relationship with their family and all this. And I, as someone who has had a tenuous relationship with some of my family, think that that's not fair, because you can't, like, they can't control that. They can't control that their parent was absent or not a good person or addicted to drugs or an alcoholic. You can't really control that, or like not a good person. Like,
yeah. I dealt with that in a relationship too, where they had terrible relationship with their parent, but also the parent was like super crazy. I didn't understand it for a long time. I was like, what do you mean? Because I didn't have that experience, but like they're super crazy. And it is still something to consider based on whatever the circumstance or thing is, because that quite often does create their perspectives on like what's what, how they treat people, etc. So it's just something to pay attention to, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said red flag for jealousy, obviously treating people badly, but wanting to spend all their time with you. Yes, that's a red flag.
Yeah, because I feel like it can become too much pressure on a person if they're like your world. And so you should also still have your hobbies. And of course you have like a honeymoon phase or like a time where you want to be all up under them. That's fine. But also make sure you're still hanging out with your friends, still seeing your family, still doing all your hobbies and doing all that stuff. Make sure they have their own life too. Like I had a partner in the past who, like same thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go here for grad school. Oh yeah, I'm gonna come there and try to. What? No, like your life is not. Yeah, like I need you to have dreams outside of me because that's crazy. Like I am not your end goal. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's also a red flag on yourself when you're letting somebody do that. And so like for example, if that person you're trying to spend all this time with them and they let you knowing that you've been missing meetings or you're not prepared, you slip. Sometimes in relationships you start slipping on stuff, and it's like no, we need to be on the same team of like having a life. And so for me, I guess that's a thing that I would own about myself. But yeah, if it seemed like somebody wants to do too much, then that's probably a bit of a red flag. So, for all of you, I'm curious how you would have classified those things and other red flags that you're thinking about. Because as you can see, based on how we're answering them and the discussion we're having, your past wounds and experiences, they color the way that you see these things and that how you perceive new people that you're meeting and talking to and getting to know. And so for that reason, we do need to remember to have context. We do need to remember to maybe pause, not move too fast. Of course, like we said, there's levels to what's like a super red flag or not. But pay attention and just assess.
Yeah. And think about time as maybe when you felt really triggered in a relationship or on a date or in a situationship, and where was it like the pattern or was it actually you and something maybe you need to heal? And if it's something that keeps coming up in multiple relationships, that's a sign that it's something that you can heal for yourself.
Yes. So think about that this week. Heal, look for them red flags, but also pay attention because they may not be. Have a great week.
Yeah.